Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Thanks for joining the PeopleTools Tech Update. My name is David Bain. I'm Senior Director of Product Strategy for PeopleSoft PeopleTools. And I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that everything is okay. Hope that all the presentation and everything is okay. Today, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what's new with PeopleSoft, PeopleSoft technology, what's on the roadmap. We've had a pretty exciting year in PeopleSoft, so there's a lot to go over. There's a lot to cover. I'm also going to talk about some of the things that are going on within PeopleSoft, some of the ways that you can get involved with helping us out. But before I start, I'd like to thank Gideon Taylor and Newberry Services for sponsoring the tech track for RECONNECT Deep Dive this year. As we know, things have changed quite a bit in 2020 and still here in 2021. And we know that we all used to get together in conferences and have a good time and meet face to face and see people down the halls and so forth. Things have changed a little bit. And one of the things that really helps us continue to have these conferences is the sponsorship. So I would like to thank Gideon Taylor and Newberry. They just merged or just acquired Newberry Services. And along the way, I'm going to talk about some of the things that they have done. So thanks very much for helping us out. Before I get into the session, of course, I want to talk about the safe harbor, look at the safe harbor. And let's talk about just kind of the logistics of the conference, right? I mentioned that if we were here in person, we would be, there would be the demo pod or the Meet the Experts area that we would all kind of crowd around, and we would all be chatting with each other in that area. But that's not possible now. So there are some things that we can do to interact and to socialize with each other. The first, of course, is Coffee and Connect. The Coffee and Connect sessions, at least for the technology, there's a special tech track, Coffee and Connect. Now, the times here are all Eastern times, and I did this kind of a little asterisk here. I did this a while ago, so the times may have changed. So, and of course, I could have got them wrong. So make sure you refer to the actual schedule, the real schedule. But the Coffee and Connect, what is that? That's a great chance for us to get together and say, hey, good to see you, or good to good to talk to you again. What's going on? What are some of the new things? Maybe you heard something really interesting in the roadmap session and want some clarification, or maybe maybe you just want to talk about something that's going on in your enterprise, or just anything. Coffee and Connect is a chance for us in the tools and technology track to meet and just say hi I guess in the mornings, in the afternoons, or wherever you may be. So those are great. I hope everybody joins those. Second thing is the lounge topics. Now the lounge topics are the demo pods, right? Or what we used to call at Open World, what we used to call the demo pods. There's going to be 4 of them. There's 2 on Tuesday, UI Analytics. These are not in chronological order. Make sure you understand that. There's the Lifecycle and UI that are on Tuesday. There's the infrastructure and cloud, and then there's the security process. That's a chance for us to sit down in a collective meeting room or a meeting area and talk about that topic. Right. So if you want to go in and say, hey, there's all these new features in Lifecycle. Let's talk about how we can use them. If you want to do that, then that's a great chance to do it. So I hope you take advantage of this. We will be staff there, and we look forward to it. Take a look at the other things that are available. Also, I do want to point out that PeopleSoft is not just, we're not just this isolated application. We are a kind of an ecosystem, and there's an ecosystem around us with the exhibitors, right? And there are tremendous value add tools. There's tremendous value add services that are offered to PeopleSoft that you may or may not know about. Please take the time to visit the exhibitor showcase. I think it'll be a great opportunity to find out what's out there in the PeopleSoft environment, PeopleSoft world. And it really does help with the events like this. Okay, let's move on. Now, normally, this is something that I would talk about at the end of the session, but I'm guessing that, in an hour and a half session, many of you may drop off early. Hope not, but you never know. Or you may be distracted. Hope not, but you never know. So I'm coming at this just right away, and that is partnering with PeopleTools. Okay, if you look at how we go about building our products, how we decide what's in releases. We collect information from a number of different sources, from our application teams, from our partners, from idea spaces, from issues that are raised. We collect a lot of this information. We put a roadmap together. We put a set of features together, and we start working these features. Now, in order to work them through, we may need to talk to customers, get real life experience, or get real thoughts behind some of the things that we're doing. That's what focus groups are all about. Now, we've had a number. Excuse me. Let me just pause here. There's somebody who keeps raising their hand over and over and over. I'm not sure if that's a technical problem or if something needs to be done about that. But Mark is in the back. If you have any questions as you go, please put them in the chat window. And Mark Herneman from the product strategy team can help monitor the chat and answer chat questions as we go. Okay, back to this though, the focus groups. We've had a number of them in the past, and they've worked very, very successfully. They've helped us really figure out ways to go with certain products. And what we'd like to do is I'm not saying that we're tired of the people that we're working with all the time, but maybe it's time to get some new fresh blood into the process. So we have a number of opportunities. There's one with the lifecycle management. We've got a great new selection of tools, or a great enhanced selection of tools, and we are really working. It's one in which you need to get on board with how we're doing things, and you need to get on board and understand how we're doing things. And we want to make sure that this is the right thing for our customers. So getting people who are involved in the lifecycle processes, that would be very important. Second thing is OCI. Are we providing the right tools? Are we providing the right features? You're on OCI to get better performance, lower costs, and a better administration experience, right? Are you receiving that, or is there anything else that we should be doing within PeopleSoft or within Cloud Manager to help that out? If you're running on OCI, then this is something that should be checked, put on your list. PeopleSoft in the Elk Stack, there's a lot of tentacles here, from search, Kibana reporting, external integration. There's a number of different opportunities that we can go for here. Always looking at people to help us with that effort. Excuse me. The DevOps discussion came up at one of our special interest groups not too long ago, and we thought, it would be a good thing for our community to sit and talk about how we're managing our operations around the PeopleSoft applications, and that could be a great opportunity for you as well. One thing that we've never really done before is had a community around the PeopleTools upgrade, around PeopleTools upgrades. Now, we had an early adopters group that I would say ran very, very, very successfully. Mark Herneman managed that group and ran very successfully, and we were able to get the customers working with 859 and get them to adopting some of the new features. We thought this is such a great thing. Why don't we just keep this going? So if you are planning an upgrade or in the middle of an upgrade, this is one that you would want to be interested in. This would be, meet however often, we did decide it could be a couple of times a month, could be once a month. I don't know. It's hard to hard to plan when we haven't started it yet. But it would be a great thing to be able to help your upgrade project. PTF, we have an ongoing group that meets with PTF, talking about some of the features in PTF and helping each other. Always looking for new blood in that one. And then finally, of course, there's the PeopleTools Customer Advisory Board. That's the one that says, let's look at our entire stack. Let's look at our entire project and see our entire product line and see where we are focusing on moving the product. Should we continue to invest the ways that we are? Should we change the investment cycles? Should we, how can we better move the PeopleTools product as an overall large product? And so there are openings within the PeopleTools Customer Advisory Board. If you're interested in this, now I'm going to stop here. There is a tab here in the conference that is a polls, and you can click on that polls, and you can see that there's a number of questions. Last conference at RECONNECT Envision, I was able to pop the questions out when I wanted to. This one, they come as a collective group. So please take your time in answering the questions. You can do it now, anytime now through the end of the session. So just please take a moment to do that. So there is one of the questions there is, which focus groups would your organization be interested in? So go ahead and identify. I want to make sure that we are putting together the right focus groups that interest the base. And then there's the Innovator. Before I go on and say anything else, there's an Innovator. Now, Innovators is very important. It's a very important program. And the reason it is because it shows our customer base what other customers are doing. So some customers are thinking, well, I don't know if we want to be an innovator or not. But if you've got a good story to tell, if you've been taking one of our new features, whatever it is, maybe it's implementing Kibana, maybe it's using Cloud Manager for some processes, maybe it's maybe it's isolating customization. You've been very successful with that. Let's get a story written up about it. Let's get a story written up about it. Let's put it out there. Let's post it. And now our customers, the only people that are going to it are our customers, to take a look at it. Our customers can go look and see that this is innovation that has happened within the PeopleSoft community. Okay. And, on the other side, you can always go out there to the information portal, peoplesoftinfo.com. Go out to the information portal and browse through the innovators as well. Okay, those are my announcements. I will say that I am still seeing hands being raised, so I don't know what the issue is with that, but whatever. I'm just going to keep going. So let's talk about what we did in 2021. It was a very eventful year for us. No question about that. In April of this year, we released our Cloud Manager 12. And I'll be talking a little bit about some of the features that are in Cloud Manager 12. It's available from the Oracle Marketplace. It's available to those who are running in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So if you're running an OCI, you've lifted your PeopleSoft applications to OCI, you can take advantage of the Cloud Manager. There's no additional cost to take advantage of the Cloud Manager. That came out in April. At the same time in April, we released our latest version of PeopleTools, PeopleTools 8.5.9. It was released first on the cloud on OCI. For the first two patches, it was available on OCI. Getting a release on OCI is very, very easy. It's simple to subscribe to the change, to get it available, and to download and do an upgrade. And we will continue. This is a policy that we will continue for all of the PeopleTools releases now. The availability for the on-premises downloads was patch 3, which was in July 2021. Now, I mentioned just a moment ago that we had an early adopter program, that we had a number of PeopleSoft customers in it that were upgrading to 859. And I would say that that program was very, very successful. This seems to be one of the more easy, more clean upgrades that that we've had with PeopleTools. So my hope is that a lot of you have the an upgrade to 859 on your roadmap. In fact, that is one of the questions that we have. What are your thoughts, or when is the plan to upgrade to 859 is one of the poll questions. So please answer that when you get a chance. Looking at the release schedule, this is, where are we in this release schedule? Excuse me. The next one, 857, will be out of support. It's coming up. It's coming around the corner. We are in October now. In January, the last patch will be in January. So that's, essentially 4 months away. So for those of you who are coming to an end of life on a PeopleTools or are on an end of life, it would be a great time to put the project together to do an upgrade. 858 will continue through May 2023. 859, since it's the latest version, there is no end of life scheduled for 859 at this point, not until 860 is released. Again, our rolling 10-year support is still alive and well. It was started a couple of years ago, and it's been bumped up. It was bumped up last April, and there's no indication that it will be any different in the following years. One more thing, and that is, people, I seem to get questions a lot about, various different things that are happening. If we need to tell the community about something that may impact them with technology support, there's two ways that is done. One is through the platform certifications, which we all know. You go to MOS, My Oracle Support, and you go to the certification tab, you'll get the PeopleTools release, and the certifications are well documented. That's one. And the second thing is through the tech updates. So if anything happens, if we decide that for whatever reason, something is not going to be supported anymore, or something drastic is going to change, we put it into a tech update. So all of you should bookmark the doc ID 764.222.1, bookmark that page, and go out there and check out the tech IDs from time to time. I'm not going to go over these right now. We've got a lot to cover. I'm sure that Mark will be covering them in his platform roadmap session. Okay, so let's start talking about. Let's get into what is going on with PeopleTools 859. If I had to break it up, what are the features? They really go into two categories. One is increasing value for the line of business, right? That is how can we make the end users, how can we get more end users using our applications? How can we make them more productive? How can we make them navigate the system more easily? How can we give them better features and better tools to be able to use this system? How can we improve our user interface? How can we give them great visuals? How can we give them conversational interfaces, things like that? That's improving the experience for the end user, or providing value for the line of business. So there's a big category around things that we're doing in that area. And then the second thing is, we know it costs money to run PeopleSoft applications, right? We know that. We know that there's cost on the PeopleTools side, right? You got to download changes, you got to upload the changes, you got to keep with the patch schedules, you got to keep the the tuxedo and the WebLogic, you got to keep those pieces patched. You've got app changes. You got to keep the PUM image up to date. You got to apply changes from your PUM image and so forth. And then you have to use the tools, right, and so forth. So there's a cost. I'm on the administrative costs. So it's kind of the things that we've done are broken down into these two, I guess we'll call them categories. One is, around increasing the line of business, and the second is reducing that cost that that you have to pay to run your PeopleSoft applications. So let's look at what we've done in the latest releases to address these two things. The first round is let's start with in the administration side. Let's start with Cloud Manager. Now, for many of you, Cloud Manager is going to be, well, why are you talking about this? I don't run Cloud Manager. I still run my PeopleSoft on premises, or I have it hosted, or it's on a platform where Cloud Manager isn't provided. We are investing heavily in Cloud Manager because we believe that this is an avenue that we can provide to help maintain your applications and provide better experience and better cost and better value for the Cloud Manager. If you go out to the innovation stories and you read the innovation stories, there are a tremendous number of stories out there about the move of a customer's move to OCI, and across the board, the customers' experiences are less cost and better performance and better administration experience, those three things. So we will continue to do it. And what I would say, instead of just being frustrated about, well, gosh, there's Cloud Manager, I can't do anything, look at what you can do to take your PeopleSoft applications to OCI. Because once they're there, there's no more hardware refreshes, you're in the cloud, and there's a tremendous bucket of features that you have. So some of the things that we've added for Cloud Manager 12 are policies, and I'm going to talk about the policies in just a bit. But we've added the support to be able to define and to run policies within Cloud Manager. Keeping up with the Oracle experience, we have provided support for autonomous database. Now in Cloud Manager 12, it's dedicated. Autonomous is dedicated and shared. We'll talk about that a little bit. There's a whole session on autonomous. I'll point you to that in a little bit later. The dedicated is supported within Cloud Manager. Shared, expect shared to come around the corner. For those of you in the public sector with strict security restrictions around your cloud, we do support the government cloud. And importing environments, this is kind of an interesting one. Many of us have gone to the cloud using our own facilities to deploy the applications on OCI, right? So you take your PeopleSoft application, put it on OCI. Now, in order for Cloud Manager has to have intelligence about that application, and the ability to point to that application, pull that intelligence in, so it gets to a point where Cloud Manager can manage it. That process has been kind of ironed out and improved. And then there's better deployment options, especially around the putting a process scheduler out there, Windows based. So these are some of the new features. So let's talk about what policies are. Policies are really administrative tasks that you want to do to your applications, right? So a policy may be, I want to back up my environment, my dev environments, I want to back up on a nightly basis, right? Never know when something bad's going to happen. Somebody's going to overwrite something. You want to have a backup, and you want to do that on a nightly basis. Or maybe you, excuse me, maybe you have a refresh. You do an automated refresh from your production environment into a test environment. Maybe you do that, I don't know, weekly. Some customers do it weekly, some a little bit longer, some monthly. It does vary, but those are policies that you have around your applications, right? Well, with Cloud Manager, we've given you the ability now to define policies within Cloud Manager, and those policies can be either around lifecycle processes, where you could do something like apply a PRP automatically to a PUM image. or to do some administrative applications or apply administrative um, tasks to one of your applications, like starting an app or stopping it, or being able to do a refresh, or being able to do backup, those types of things. Now, the policies can be based upon events, meaning something external happens that triggers that is something that triggers policies. And an example of that, of course, is a PRP gets published. PRP is an external event. We can see that that event has taken place and we can react to it with policy. Or it can be a passage of time, right? It's it's at certain time at the night, everybody has gone home. We're not working on our dev environments anymore. We want to back those up. So that can be excuse me, that can be done on a scheduled time. So policies. This is a real quick screenshot of what the policies look like. Of course, Cloud Manager is a PeopleSoft application that runs on OCI. So that if you're familiar with the Fluid interface, it is a fluid interface. Some of the things that you can do, you can automate your operations with the Cloud Manager, refresh environments, expand the tiers. So if you have certain periods of time during the day that you want to expand the tiers or collapse them down, you want to collapse them down at night, you can do that. You can make acceptance test environments, user acceptance test environments available only for patched periods of certain periods of time. You can bring up and bring down test environments, or bring down up and bring down dev environments. So if maybe you want to free up the resources, don't want to pay for the resources over a weekend, you can bring those resources down and have them up automatically when you show up the following week. So it's a great way to optimize the use of your system and to automate those tasks that many of us know and feel are repetitive. Cloud Manager, of course, it used to be that we would have hosted labs where you could go to sit down and run Cloud Manager. Now you can do that all by yourself in your own office or home. If you happen to be, obviously I'm working from home, you can run that in your house, right? And the way to do it is there's an Oracle Live Labs. These are the steps that you're going to go through when you're running it. It's tremendous. You go through the whole thing, setting up Cloud Manager, getting a PeopleSoft instance, and you can, at the end, you can subscribe to PeopleTools changes, run a patch, do virtually whatever you want, and it's all of course it's free. The credits, you get credits when you sign up for it, so the credits can be used to take care of this workshop. So I would encourage anybody who's heard about Cloud Manager and kind of has some interest around it, go ahead and sign up for the live lab. Now our sponsored partner, Gideon Taylor, they along with their they have one of the customers. They're one of the groups that has moved people into OCI. One of the recent moves was BYU Hawaii University, that runs our campus solution product. They lifted the application up. They run it in the cloud. It was hosted on non-OCI. They've moved it up to the cloud. And as a result, they have come up with some incredible performance enhancements. The PUM updates, they've improved the PUM updates time for taking it by 2/3, right? That's a tremendous improvement. The non-prod refreshes are 30 times faster, and the infrastructure costs, of course, really the primary reason to go to OCI, I think, is the infrastructure cost and performance. But the infrastructure cost was reduced by 40 to 60%. So tremendous results here out of Gideon Taylor. So that's a great story, and of course there are other stories out there that you can read about in the Innovators. Now I want to kind of point out one thing, right? When we talked about the policy manager, those are administrative tasks tasks that are automated. When you're evaluating the cloud processes, when you're evaluating cloud technologies, you're thinking really about the cost of the cloud, and that's it. And you're not really applying the fact that there may be, benefits of running the PUM processes faster, of automating some of those processes like refresh and so forth. So great use case here, or great sample from the sponsor, Gideon Taylor. Now, there's plenty of sessions here at RECONNECT Dive Deep to learn more about this. There's the maximizing with the cloud infrastructure, and then if you go down there, it's second to last, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Premier Cloud for PeopleSoft. Those two are going to focus, excuse me, on OCI technology. So if you really want to know what's happening with OCI, those are great sessions. Of course, the Mark's platform roadmap, that's a required session. Everybody put that on their list. There is a roundtable. Roundtable is a chance for all of you who are interested or thinking about this to sit down in a session and just fire off the questions. I want to thank Hennepin County for hosting hosting the roundtable this year to talk about OCI. There's a couple of other sessions. There's a children's hospital session, which is going to be hosted by partner Spear MC, and then there's a value of PeopleSoft Cloud. My Pro Consulting is going to host a session as well. So there's plenty of information out there to get up to speed on OCI. I hope that everybody is at least becoming familiar with the OCI story and the tools that we have and we're providing. Let's jump to the life cycle. Let's jump to lifecycle management now. I've been talking about this process. Lifecycle, we provide the tools, right? We provide Change Assistant, we provide PUM, and we provide the ability to search and select things in PUM and to apply those changes and to create the change package, definitions and change package. We are pretty familiar with the process. Well, we're familiar with the tools, but what's the process that you wrap around those tools? This is a very important thing for us, and it really is the process is impacting the decisions that we make with the tools. I think that's probably the easiest way that I can say it, and that is why at the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned and I showed you how to become involved with the focus groups and help us with this. If there are things that we need or alter around the processes, this is a great way for us to do it. So anyway, the process very simply is start with a good inventory of your changes, or let's just kind of asterisk that. Start with an inventory of your changes. It may be good, it may be rather incomplete, it may be raw, who knows, but start with an inventory. Look at those things that are going to be impacted. So when you provide a change package up front, don't wait until the compare is run. Up front, look at those things that are going to be impacted and think about what you want to do to those impacts. Do you want to eliminate that customization, right? That's the best one. The best thing you can do. You get rid of a customization, it's gone. You don't have to worry about that anymore. But we know that we can't do that to all of them. But maybe there is a little business use for it. Maybe there was before. Maybe it's provided by PeopleSoft now. Who knows? But if you can eliminate it, that's great. Optimize it. What can you do to optimize it? You can isolate your customization, right? That's what we mean by optimize. Isolating your customization and making it easier, keeping your PeopleSoft deliveries more generic. Or you can do you can skip that customization or skip that change and say, you know what, I just don't want to get in there. I don't want to worry about it right now. I'm going to go ahead and skip it. Or there's a new option now, and that is to automatically merge. And I'll be talking about that a little bit. After this process, you go through and you manage those changes. You improve your documentation. You create new PTF test scripts. You get ready get ready for the next cycle that's going to come around. So that, we know that these are processes that we do over and over and over and over, right? It used to be, back in the old days, when a lot of us were working on the old releases, it was, 5 years and a massive upgrade, and then wait, and 5 years and a massive upgrade. That's not the way anymore. It's small changes, small incremental, using the tools, taking advantage of it. That you're going to do a make me current over and over and over. Let's smooth that out and let's improve those cycles, and let's improve the processes. So new things that we have here when you look at your Update Manager homepage. There's a homepage now. Didn't used to be, but now there is. It's kind of exciting. There's the Update Manager, little analytics there. That's our dashboard. We're all familiar with the dashboard, and it's got the great analytics. Some of them are, just bang on, how much have I applied, and so forth. Some of them are a little bit confusing, but I'm not gonna take the time and talk through those right now. And then there's a couple of other, we'll call it tiles, a couple of other tiles here that we want to talk about. There's the customization repository, which is taking on a bigger and bigger and bigger role in the lifecycle process. And the fact is it needs to. The customization repository is nothing more than a list of objects, PeopleSoft objects, PeopleTools objects that you have changed. That's what the customization repository is. So think of it that way. And we'll talk about that a little bit. There's a download repository now, in which in the PUM images you can point to get your automatic downloads. There's some settings, and then there's a scheduler. And let's talk about some of the new features. The first one out is the PeopleSoft automated updates. We have PUM, PeopleSoft Update Manager. Now we have POW, PeopleSoft Automated Updates, PAU. What POW is saying, I'm going to go into the PUM image, and I'm going to automate some of those nasty tasks that I used to have to do myself, right? Like I used to have to go and look for PRPs. If a PRP was available, I would have to download it, wait for it to download. Then I'd have to apply it to the PUM image to get it ready to go. I can automate all that now. I can set it up, and I can set up a schedule, right? I can have this job. It's an automated job. I can set it up so, pick a time, maybe once a week, maybe, Saturday evening. We'll say Saturday evening. You can trigger this. It'll go out there. If there's any PRPs, it'll download them. It'll take those PRPs, apply them to the PUM. That's great. An always updated PUM. Now, if you are running your application, you come across a bug, you report that bug, create an SR, report that bug, and they say, that was fixed with this PRP. You can go back and if that PRP was already released, that's already applied and it's available in your PUM, and you can just go ahead and take it. That's the kind of, that's what the PeopleSoft automated updates is all about. So that's kind of the first half. The second half is there may be some processes that you take on a regular basis, or some ways that you use the PUM on a regular basis. So whether it's things like tax updates, or getting P1 bugs, or doing a make me current, you can automate those tasks and run those tasks all the way through the source side apply automatically for you. And you can have that done, and you can have that done by schedule. So there's kind of two parts in this: download and get your PUM up to date. And the second thing is automate and start and run part of your lifecycle process automatically. That's what the PeopleSoft automated updates is all about. And that's kind of a nice thing, because remember, this comes delivered in the PUM environments. So any PUM environment that's based upon 8.59, I'm getting ahead of myself. Any PUM environment that's running the latest version of PeopleTools, which is 8.59, has this feature in it. So it can be taken advantage of. Okay, a couple of nice things. And then in the change assistant, you'll see that installing it used to be kind of a back and forth between getting all the pieces and making sure that the change assistant had the proper languages and so forth. Now it's a one time we can get all the definitions done up front and done properly. And there's a new thing here, which is if you look under the excuse me, if you look under the customization repository, there is a object merge. And the object merge is, we'll talk about that. In fact, let's just go ahead and jump to the next slide and get into that. So, but first, let's back up. Let's talk about the customization repository. I told you it's a list of objects that have changed. Now it can be just a big batch one time, I don't have any projects, I don't have anything. So we can just dump that straight out of your database. These are all the customizations that you have, keep them in one group. Okay, that's okay. Second thing is we can load those from projects. So if you have ADS projects and you have your PeopleTools package or your PeopleTools project, we can upload those and they'll keep the name of the project. So it might be a little bit tough to use, but we'll keep the name of the projects, but they'll all be uploaded in separate projects, separate groups. Or you can take kind of the big step, which is get those up there and then go through and use the user interface, the nice user interface that's provided to manage these groups and break them up into more usable groups. And you have the ability to create the groups that you want to. A single PeopleTools object can be in multiple different groups. So you can have groups based upon who did the work, how you want to manage the work, what product areas it is, what consultants were doing the work, so forth. And within those, there are controls that you can use to identify whether a change is made and how you want to behave if there's, or whether a conflict is and how you want to behave with that conflict. Now, one of the new things that we have added is the ability to automatically merge your PeopleCode, your SQL, and your style sheets, XLST, those three objects. So those are, they're text-based, and when you're using merge technology, actually it's been around for a while. So the way that this is all working, I won't get into the details. We have a session later this week. We'll get into much more of the details, but essentially what it is we are going to take your customizations, we're going to take our changes, and we're going to take them and merge them and come up with a best result solution. Now, can we get it right 100% of the time? No, but we can put rules together that says, if this was changed by PeopleTools or PeopleSoft, and this line, the same line was changed by the customer, then this one's going to win and this one's going to go out as a comment. And that's what these are up here. These are the rules that we provide as we go. Anyway, bottom line here is the merge should be something that really, truly helps you and gives you much more benefit and much more a much easier experience in migrating or applying your changes, your customization. So it's a great it's an exciting new feature. It's the first step into what we hope is a much more automated change process. Right now, again, as I mentioned, it's only PeopleCode, it's only SQL, and it's only PeopleCode, SQL, and XSLT. Those are the three that are supported now. Okay. I'll just say, I think I mentioned this, but I'm not sure. You do need to have a populated customization repository in order for this to work. So if you want to run this in your next upgrade, you have to get your changes populated into the customization repository, which like I said, there's a bulk load from the database. There's bulk loads from the projects and so forth. So hopefully, cross our fingers, it won't be too difficult. But if you have those in there, you can run the automatic merge, and you can take a look for yourself to see how well it goes. There are a couple of questions, I think, around this. There's certainly a question around how well your customizations are documented. I think if we go back to that process that I had just up a little bit ago, that little circle, that lifecycle circle, having a good insight into your customizations, having those well documented is important, and it's key. So if that is an area that you think is, maybe it needs a little improvement, it might be worth taking a little bit of time to go through that and working on that part to make it a little bit better. Excuse me. Now, here's one of the features. This came from Idea Spaces and was filtered out in one of our focus groups, or it was kind of massaged a little bit in our focus groups. And that is one of the features, or one of the, I guess, one of the things that we've been talking about for quite a bit is isolating your customizations, right? Getting your PeopleSoft back to as generic as possible. And then in isolating customizations, the event mapping, your PeopleCode can run before, can run after. You've got drop zones on pages. They can run, they are added to pages after. You've got the same capabilities with App Engine, so you can add steps and so forth outside of the delivered PeopleCode. And there's the page and field configuration utility that kind of sits on top of it as this nice tool to be able to manage that ultimate configuration data. One of the issues, of course, was, well, we've isolated our customizations, but they still are customizations, and we still need to be aware of that when we are doing the upgrades. So what this is a nice SQR report that will go through, that will compare or will pull out your where your isolated customizations are attached. So you can take this report, look at it as you're going through your applying the maintenance, and it'll identify if there are any isolated customizations that you need to be concerned about. And that is available now. Okay, so let's kind of take a deep breath, and let's just kind of walk through how we have created what we call, I guess we could call it, the modern administration experience with PeopleSoft. On the lifecycle side, this is something that everybody can take advantage of, right? We've got the automated download and the PRPs. We can always, you can always have an updated PRP. Now, we've got the automatic merge. Anybody can take advantage of that, right? Anybody can take advantage of this, the PeopleCode, SQL, and the XLST. We can automate those merges now. You can automate all the way through the source side apply for running your change projects. And of course, there's PTF that you can create automated test scripts for, right? So there's a tremendous amount of automation going into the life cycle. Then we get into the Cloud Manager for those who have moved to OCI and who are leveraging some features in the Cloud Manager. There's the automatic PeopleTools update and patch. I mean, that's been, I guess it's been the cornerstone of Cloud Manager for a very long time. That and the ability to provision your backup and provision your environments, right? That means that you can take a running PeopleSoft, get an automatic download, and apply that patch or apply that upgrade to a running PeopleSoft system. It'll come down, it'll apply the tools upgrade, and then it'll bring it back up. So it's a very nice feature that's been in Cloud Manager, and it continues to live in Cloud Manager. Now, the Policy Manager, this is new. This is a great way to look at the processes or policies that are around your applications and improve on those. The refreshing environments, the backing up, the making sure that your PUM is available, the scaling out tiers. I didn't talk much about that, but that's the, looking at the middle tier, if you want to be able to scale out, scale down tiers to use more resources or less, then that can be done. Now let's wrap this up. Now, where is all this going? Where all of this is going and that is the next step. And the next step is let's get some intelligence around this. There are tools out there that provide the intelligence. One of them happens to be sitting in OCI, right? That's the data science project or the data science product from Oracle. And it's something that we can use and we can leverage. So the thinking is just pretty simple here, and that is if we can capture information about use patterns within your applications and put them into this data science and have data science answer questions, use the AI ML intelligence out of data science to be able to tell us based upon the uses patterns in the back and expected projections, do you need to scale up or can you scale down your applications, right? It's that simple, right? And doing so means that you don't have to go out there and come up with a maximum footprint for your PeopleSoft applications to take care of whatever it may, benefits enrollment or student enrollment, whatever it may be. You don't have to come up with that maximum footprint. You can scale down and let this predictive analytics manage that for you. Of course, there's the autonomous platforms between the database and the Linux that are hands-off. You can take care of those, and then there's the automated CPU patching. You can see that we're moving to a place where there is less and less and less administrative responsibility and more intelligence, predictive intelligence, and automation. And that's the path that we're heading with the Lifecycle tools. The autonomous database, I've touched on this a couple of times. What's the big benefit? Are you going to get rid of, people say I do it. Am I really going to get rid of my DBAs? I don't think so. You still need, the DBAs still play roles in managing the database, but there are certain tasks that the system can do for you, right? And, for example, great thing is, applying patches, things like that. You're letting the system take that. So you're eliminating that risk when that's put into manual, having somebody manually apply that. So that's you're just right off the bat, you're reducing the risk in the maintenance of the tool. And of course, the tuning of the database, this will happen over time. One of the interesting things about our initial tests and our initial runs for PeopleSoft is that we've had a lot over the years. We've had a lot of man hours in tuning PeopleSoft environments, manually tuning PeopleSoft environments, and then you turn it over to an autonomous database and say, okay, let's see you catch up to n number. Oops, I'm sorry about that. N number of man hours and the efforts that we have all put in, and it's taken a little bit of time to catch up, but it'll get there. It'll definitely get there, and no question about that. So it's certainly something that should be looked at. So in terms of the life cycle, what should you do to take advantage of it? Let's go down the list. Automate your downloads of PRP. You can do that now, in your PUM environments. You can run the PUM automatic update to run your change package source apply steps. You should be doing that. You can use the isolated customization report now when you're applying changes. If you've done if you've isolated your customizations. Organize and start using that customization repository. That's a key thing. Start using that customization repository. It's going to be important. Use the automatic merge with PeopleCode, SQL, and XSLT. Let's put that through the test. Let's get that going. We'll talk about successes in the years to come. Maybe we'll expand it to include more objects. Use PTF if you haven't used PTF. It's a great thing when you talk about automating. Talk about automating your administrative tasks, your policies, and then your tests, the more automation that you can build into the managing the people system, the more efficient it's going to be. Look at all that we've done around OCI. Get familiar with conferences like this are a great chance for you to get familiar with what's going on with OCI and Cloud Manager. And finally, spend the time to take a look at, just to, go find out what the autonomous database is all about. So that's a great list of things that you can start doing. And of course, there are plenty of sessions here at RECONNECT where you can do this. There's an autonomous database. I would say everybody, anybody that's touches or works with the database, go to that session, learn about it, find out what autonomous is. It's it's kind of a flagship for Oracle, and it's going to play a very important role in PeopleSoft in the future. Of course, I mentioned this before. Go to the platform roadmap. There's a DPK session for those who are involved in DPKs. We're going to dive deep into the DPKs. Great chance to find more about that. There's the dive deep into Cloud Manager. There's a great session for that. There's a dive deep into the managing the lifecycle process with the customization repository. And there's I'm going through the session list. Normally I'm just putting the ones that we give here or partner gives, but there's a great one on the list there from University of Minnesota, continuously improving your PUM image. So got that one on the list as well. Okay. Let's continue to move on. What have we done for the developer in the latest releases in 8.5.9? What's new for the developer? We've talked about the isolating customizations, right? To be honest, we have, I mean, we still continue to enhance it. We still continue to improve the isolating the customizations, but where we sit right now, having done it with the app engines, the user interface, and the PeopleCode, it's kind of sitting there looking now for the next big investment. And of course, the page and field config utilities. It's sitting there waiting for the next big investment. And the question that our focus groups and our customer advisory board will ask is, what's the direction that we take for the next big investment? There are a couple of nice enhancements that we've added to the isolating customizations. Excuse me. We've improved the user interface around it. We've made it so you don't have to have PeopleCode in order to get this actually running. And then the kind of the, I don't want to run PeopleSoft, so the delivered PeopleCode, I just want to override that. That may be, maybe you've done something and the only way that you can isolate your customizations is by just not using ours and using yours. And that now is an option. One of the biggest, really kind of the most, we'll call it evolutionary features that's kind of come in under the radar is what we did with external data. We have a new feature in our product, which is called external data. I mean, it didn't even make the title here in the slide. But what external data is we're saying we're an application that has a tremendous amount of valuable data, right? Whether it's about the HCM, the employees and human capital, whether it's about your financial information, whether it's about students and, whatever it is, we have a tremendous amount of this information. And we put this into a repository, and that repository is great to be used for a number of things, right? We've certainly tipped on analytics with Kibana, saying that you can use this repository to search, to enhance your applications to search, and you can supplement that data, and you can use that data for really compelling analytics. The other kind of the new thing that we offer is we know that we're not the center of the universe, and we know that with very, very little effort, we can pull in information that's related to our applications. And we can do that through very little effort. We get that into the repository. What is that going to do? That's going to improve the analytics options. We can put in analytics tremendously, right? So what if we wanted to, enhance recruiting information with another system, another homegrown system that we have in Insight, or a cloud system that we're working with? We can pull that information in. It's all done through RESTful services. We can pull that information and put it in Elasticsearch and include that information in reports. That's fantastic. That's all great, and that's all fantastic. Now let's kind of step it one step further, and that is, what are the opportunities around building intelligence into our applications? Now, I know that this is kind of the new frontier. It's something that a lot of us are kind of, well, we know that there's, a lot of interesting things going along in this area, but, maybe it doesn't quite, hit us. What is this all about? Well, think of it this way. Think of decision making. What decisions are made around the data that you have? I mean, there's just a tremendous number of decisions, and they're being made all the time, every day. What expenses do you audit? Which collections should you go after? How should you treat and compensate your employees at various different levels? There's just decisions that are being made based upon the information that you have all the time. Now, who's making these decisions? Typically, I don't know, it could be a clerk in a back office. It could be, somebody down the hall in a cube. Who knows who's making some of these decisions? But and now somebody leaves and somebody else is all of a sudden responsible for making the decisions, and maybe they do them very, very differently. Well, what if you just said, instead of having these done maybe unscientifically, we could step in and we could lend a hand with that. That's what the data science is. That's what intelligence or the AI/ML, machine learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning is all about. How can we say, let's take the information that we know about our collections, and we'll feed that into the data, into the data science, and maybe we'll pull additional external information in to help build this model. And now our model sits out there with the intelligence of who's paid, who is early, who is late, reasons perhaps that we can get in for them being early or late with payments. And now that's sitting out there as a question that we can ask. We can ask the intelligence out there, well, which collection should we go after? And we can ask that, and it can produce an answer that looks at collectively much more information than any of us could possibly consume and look at. I hope I've done that. I hope I've explained this in a way that triggers something in the recesses of your mind to say, this is something that maybe we could get involved with, or maybe we should start looking at. The pieces are there. All of the pieces are there from within PeopleSoft. So we have the Elastic repository. We have the extract of the data from PeopleSoft. We have the option to import external data, and we have the full circle integration with our data science and running it under OCI. So it's all there. You don't have to lift your application to OCI in order to run it. Of course, if you do, it's an entitlement that you're free to use. But it is an option that you can start using. So I expect to see some pretty exciting movement in that area in the not too distant future. The application service framework, kind of one of the interesting byproducts of our building out our conversational interface was we'll call it yet another way to build integrations in PeopleSoft. We've had Integration Broker for a very long time. We've had it, the ability to build SOAP interfaces. Then we added the ability to build the RESTful interfaces, and that that's been very, very successful. Now, when we got to putting our conversational interface together, we kind of paused for a second and we thought, you know what, conversations are chatty. There's a lot going back and forth. When I'm having a conversational interface with the computer, it's hitting the back, it's going to the technology that's managing the communications, going to the back end for information, and doing this a whole repeatedly over and over and over. So our thinking was, if we required full-on integration broker RESTful services for each part of the conversation, then that would be a prohibitive, it would prohibit adoption of our conversational interface. So we went out and we made this lightweight application service framework to make it much easier to build RESTful services back and forth between PeopleSoft. Okay, we designed it specifically for our conversations at the beginning. In release 8.5.9, we've said, you know what, let's take this, because we think that there is so much value here. Let's take this and let's make it a general use facility. So I don't think that I would get into it so much in the 8.5.7, 8.5.8 and use it outside of the digital assistants, but certainly when you're in 8.5.9, using it as a infrastructure that you can build RESTful services with is something that could be very valuable. So once you get onto 8.5.9, start taking a look at it. And then one more thing that I will comment on, and that's the real-time indexing. Search is becoming, when we get to the user interface section, search is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger part of our application, right? And one of the things that we have noticed, or not noticed, but everybody I think has noticed, is if our searches are built through an index process. So if we add a new, whatever it is, pick your business object, and then we do a search for it, it's not going to be there. It's not into the Elastic indexes. So we came up with we'll call this a simplified way of making the Elasticsearch indices almost real time. And basically, I'm not going to get into it and give a deep dive. We have another session on this in this conference. But basically, what it's doing is it's updating. When the data is updating, we're using database triggers to update staging tables, and then we are polling these staging tables in the background, looking for things that we should add to our indexes. That's simple as can be. How are we doing with this? I would say online, it's right on, spot on. It's doing a great job. This is real nice. Where we run into problems, of course, is what happens if you're updating these tables in batch. Then, of course, you can get into contention problems. You can get into performance problems. You can get into issues. So we're kind of back on the I would say evaluation table. We're looking at ways that we can have a, when you think of it, you don't care to update real time when you're running a batch process, right? You care to wait when the batch process is done. You want to refresh the index based upon that. So we're looking at ways that we can make this process a little bit better. There is a session that's going to focus on this at this conference. I'll point that out in just a little bit. Now, there is another thing, getting back here to Gideon Taylor, our sponsor for this tech track. I've talked a lot about what we do in PeopleSoft and your options within PeopleSoft. There are other options, though. There are other very, very valid options that can really help you tune your system or provide features within your system that are external to our lifecycle processes, that are external to the maintenance costs of running the PeopleSoft applications. And one of those is forms. Now, I'm familiar with forms. I've known customers that have used forms. The great thing about GT forms, I think, is the fact that they're built with PeopleSoft technology, and they sit and they reside right in your database, right? I know customers that have said, well, gosh, I want to provide a user interface to a certain population, and I got this great technology sits off on the side. Maybe it's from whoever it may be, maybe even Oracle, right? The problem is that the life cycle of that, the tools upgrades of that, the security of that, the workflow, that's all outside of PeopleSoft, and you're inside the PeopleSoft, and you want an environment that's going to be managed. And GT Forms, it's a great way of providing full, rich forms that are feature rich in a very, very reasonable amount of time. There's tremendous success stories. You can go to Gideon Taylor and you can find out about these. I'm familiar with a couple of them. One of them is an Innovator. The University of Berkeley is an Innovator. You can read that story out on the PeopleSoft site. I'm personally familiar with the Princeton story. When COVID was hit, they had the need to provide a wealth of information, or capture information and provide information to their students in an immediate turnaround time, right? They had done that within the PeopleTools, building a page, rolling that out. It would have taken some time. They were able to do that with Gideon Taylor in a very small. They rolled out two student e-forms in less than 1 day. So credit for this. As I said before, I'm familiar with this. This is a terrific product, and I would also like to extend again thanks for Gideon Taylor for sponsoring our tech track for this conference. Okay, and with that, there are a couple of other sessions here. There's integrating external data into Kibana reports. That is all about the external data. How does that external data work? That feature work. So it doesn't necessarily, can also be for data science, right? It's getting external data really into the Elastic repository. But that's a great session if you want to look at that new feature. Excuse me. There's a couple of page and field configurator sessions, one for beginners, one for advanced. If you're not familiar with that, it's a great chance to get familiar with that. And then I mentioned before that real-time indexing is something that's, it'd be a very, very nice feature. You can go to that session to really get the ins and outs of the process of real-time indexing. Okay. It's quite a bit of new enhancements, quite a bit to talk about with the administration of PeopleSoft applications. I think that a whole lot has gone into the 8.5.9 tools release. So let's talk about the line of business, improving the line of business. Right now, I mentioned at the beginning of this, excuse me, how are we thinking about that? How are we thinking about the line of business? How can we get more people using the PeopleSoft applications? How can we simplify those applications so they don't get overly confused and they can be productive? How do you make more people more productive on your platform? I think that really is the best way to summarize and sum it up. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about increasing the value for the line of business. So the first thing you'll see is in 8.5.9, we did a tremendous amount of work on the navigation, right? Since I've been at PeopleSoft, which is, I won't even say that the first release, it was before 8.0. I can't think of a time when we're not thinking about improving the user experience, and that continues to this day. It continues, and I think that in many ways we've taken a significant jump in the 859 release. And the significant jump is because we are putting the things in place to make the user more productive. I really believe that. If you look at the new user interface for 859, a couple things jump out to you. There's the little icons over here on the left side. The clock and the heart. The clock is the most recent. The heart is the favorites. Right. If you think about a significant percentage of the population is setting favorites, can set favorites and go to their favorites and be perfectly happy with navigation in the application, or they're working on something, they're going to be working on something for an extended period of time, and the easiest way to get back there is to go to the most recents. So those are instantly, I don't have a live system here to show you, but those are instantly, they pop out. You can get to your favorites, you can get to your most recents just at a single, it's one click to get to both of those. That's one thing. The notifications, driving the user interface off of alerts and notifications, that is key too, because a lot of our users are using only alerts and notifications to drive what they're doing. So making that a first-class resident, putting that up in the user interface and making that easy to get to, that's very beneficial. And then probably what I would say one of the nicest things is search, is really making search the first-class citizen that it needs to be, right? The easiest way to get to something is to just type in. I mean, we do this for a significant amount of our use of applications. We use search. One of our why aren't we doing this for our complex business applications as well? Well, we should be. We've really stepped up the enterprise search using Elasticsearch in this release by adding features which make the results as relevant as possible. So when somebody types something in, whatever it may be, in this case, they've typed in user profiles. The first thing that we'll do is we'll look at their recent usage. What have they used recently? And is there anything in those recents, in what they've used recently, that match that search key? And if so, we'll put that in first. Then we'll look at a related population and say, is there anything that related populations have used that is very common for this search key? And we'll put that in next. And then we will go out and we will get the rest from Elasticsearch. We'll pull in the rest of the information. So what it is we are actually weighting our results. So instead of just saying user profiles, let's suck it in out from the system and give this generic big old block of results from user profiles, we are weighting the results to make it so that the most likely candidates, the most likely selections, are the ones that are on top. We've done a tremendous amount of work also on the navigation, on improving the navigation. We've alphabetized the menu now so people can use that. However, right, we're always going to lean back to saying, that the more we can get our users using search or defaulting to using search first in the application, the better off we are. Okay. The next one, next feature that we've added is a conversational interface. This has taken kind of an interesting road to get where it is. We started off with a kind of targeted conversations within the application. So you could say, I want to talk about skills, and I want to talk about absences, or I want to talk about a company directory and get that information. And that was just kind of our taking steps into this process. We have since grown, and we've since really improved on that process to where now we've rolled out what we call PICASO. That's the PeopleSoft Intelligent Chat Assistant from Oracle, PICASO. And what PICASO is it's a single one-time user interface that can go out across all of the skills that we have in PeopleSoft and can pull that information and can support that. So you can talk about benefits, you can talk about absence, you can get information from employee directory and much more. So it's a single conversational interface. Now, I probably don't have to tell you all about the benefits of the conversational interface. A lot of us use, I'm sure, a lot of us use Siri, a lot of us use Alexa, a lot of us use a lot of these conversational interfaces. And the nice thing about them is, well, nice thing when they work, of course, is they're always available and they provide you information, a lot of information that you want instantaneously. And there's nobody in the back end that's doing any work for you. So think about what your employees, think about the information that your employees need, right? Whether it be a quick and easy FAQ, whether it be information about just about the days off that they have coming up. So if you could just say that we have a intelligent chat assistant that will give you your pay stub and your days off, think about the amount of time that you've saved your employees, right? Just right there. So it's quite a growing field. It's something that I think I'm pretty sure that most of us have thought about it. The nice thing about the digital assistant that we're using is it's based upon the ODA technology. That's Oracle Digital Assistant technology. It does require an additional license, but when you do get the additional license, it is a unlimited use, unlimited access restrictions digital license, which means that you can plug in any app, you can write your own FAQs, you can plug in any different backends that you want to, and you can have think about it as a unified single digital assistant organization. And that's all possible with PICASO. This is just a real quick little, how does this work? We have our different skills here, different skills across the that are provided in the digital assistant, and it's going to route. There's going to be a single main digital assistant that's going to route it down to the proper skill. So what is it that we do now to take advantage of the user interface? Number one, get to the fluid navigation. I know that that's required in 858 and above. Pretty soon we'll be off of 857. Most of our customers are, I would say the majority of our customers are on Fluid for navigation. Remember, classic pages are still supported. They're not going away. The technology to support classic pages is something that we will continue to support in PeopleTools. So if you do have a classic page and maybe even a custom classic page, that is something that will continue to be supported. Our applications do, however, if they replace the functionality of a classic page with a Fluid, they will eventually end the support for the classic version of the page. It's end of the calendar year and then one more year after that. And there is a list of the pages that they have. They keep a pretty good list of the pages on Oracle support for that. But get to fluid navigation to help your users, particularly around enterprise search. Start using enterprise search. Really emphasize the fact that enterprise search can save them time. Also, get them familiar with the user interface, the favorites, have them set up the favorites, have them set up or have them knowledgeable about the most recent use. Those are very, very beneficial. Look at ways that you can leverage the new notifications and personalization features, and then know and understand what you can do with digital assistants, right? Everybody should be talking about ways that their enterprise or that their organization can improve with digital assistance. There are some innovator stories out on our sites of customers that have started using digital assistants that are receiving tremendous successes, right? Things that instead of calling up a help desk, we can go to the digital assistant and get an answer. And in many cases, the answer is more accurate and faster than actually calling a help desk. So everybody should be looking at that and thinking about that. And of course, finally, there's the analytics. Where are we going with analytics? Well, we have we really improved the interface by just, we had the Elasticsearch repositories. We said with just a little bit of, excuse me, with just a little bit of extra effort, we can provide advanced analytics. We can provide an advanced analytic platform for you to be able to look at, visualize data, not just data that's in our applications, but data that's externally accessed, that's one, and data that's derived from our applications. So if you are pulling information out into these indices, you can basically compute, or you can figure out additional data that you maybe time sequence data and things like that you simply can't get in the PeopleSoft system. So having the analytic platform, having Kibana there in order to help you to do this is really a benefit. And the power that it provides and the advanced analytics that it provides is really something that everybody should be jumping on and taking a look at. How do you take advantage of the analytics? Use the delivered pivot grids, start turning those on, look at the simplified analytics, start working with those, look at the Kibana dashboards, start working with those, add external data, add computational data to the Kibana analytics. And then also, kind of end of the road is there's the autonomous data warehouse that is an Oracle provided solution that we don't provide. Technically, we don't provide an interface, but there are options to use that with PeopleSoft data. So a couple of great sessions here at the conference. Integrating external data into Kibana. I kind of went over that session very briefly. Introducing PICASO. We'll find out what that is. And anybody who wants to know what's behind the scenes, you can go to the Configuring PeopleSoft Skills using Oracle Digital Assistants. That's going to be looking at ODA, Oracle Digital Assistant, but in terms of the PeopleSoft skills that were delivered. There's the deploying Kibana. If you are kind of scratching your head and you're thinking, what, Kibana is something that I'd really like to get to, there's your session. And then, of course, we have a guest speaker at the 858. I'll let you look it up to find out who the guest speaker is. Exploring the latest user interface features in 858. So just the last thing that I will say is that if you look at what we've done within PeopleSoft, we're expanding out tremendously with the tools that we provide, but we are also becoming a real partner with the Oracle technology, right? You look at all of the Oracle technology that we're interfacing with or using, the autonomous database, yes. The digital assistant for conversational interface, yes. Data science for AI, ML, predictive information, yes. The analytics cloud, I mentioned that there are hooks into that. We don't provide them, but there are hooks into that. The monitoring cloud, there is a tremendous plugin for the monitoring cloud to help you with the PeopleSoft applications. Identity management, yes, can be used. Asset monitoring cloud, that's been there for quite a while, managing your assets through Internet of Things. And then guided learning. These are all cloud capabilities that we are providing within PeopleSoft PeopleTools that you can take advantage of now. A couple of more sessions that I didn't get to. There's a health center using Elk. Always popular. Greg Kelly's session on insider abuse and ransomware attacks. And of course, to end up the conference, there's the panel, get your questions answered. So with that, I would like to thank you all for taking the time. Please finish before you tap out. Please finish the survey questions that we had. I will be going over those survey questions in the panel session. There's results of the survey, if I get them, in the panel session that we have. So with that, I want to thank you all, and I look forward to interacting with each and every one of you during this this conference this time. Thanks. Okay.